So then it was like, Reese, if you want to see that, you got to download a VPN, at least in Utah.
And I was like, I already got one.
Boom! Came prepared. What is up? What's up? What's up, everybody?
Hi.
You know what time it is. It's time. It's time. It's time for another episode. Look at this. I'm opening up a bottle with Sailor Jerry. So you know what that means. It means it's time for another spin around the taint.
Is that what the kids call it these days?
That's what the kids call it these days. I heard them.
Dirty, dirty man. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name's Andrew. I'm the Bajan Mahale. I do something with battles. I don't know.
Something.
Unlike the infantry, I'm the leader of battles, not the queen of battles.
And you're still valid. We still love you.
I mean,
accept you as a queen.
that makes one of us. As I try to get software to run again.
And
I'm over my computer today.
am the Soravan Mahale. Josh, if you want some lightning action, give me a call, you electro slut.
And on that note, I'm Reese Sedai, your Aethon Mahale, your no glove, no love Mahale.
It's true. I also want to
Shield.
state for the record that Reese is the one who made that correlation, all by her, with no help from either of us. 'Cause
Yes,
she's
if
smart.
you didn't know, I hail from North Harbor.
Oh. Andrew, how is your day today? How's your day going?
I mean, it's going. I'm trying to see why my antivirus magically decided today to start fucking with Stream Deck now.
When was the last time you cleansed your taint?
Pretty regularly, actually.
Well, that's good.
You change one thing in your setup that should have absolutely nothing to do with anything else.
It's true.
And then random shit just goes, hey, I'm just not going to work right anymore. I got a new router, all right? Because the router I had doesn't support the VPN that I want it to use. And I want it to host the VPN on the router so that I don't have to worry about making sure anything else on the network connects. Everything is protected through the VPN on the router. So I got that today. Put the router up, connected, configured, set up the VPN. Everything was working fine until I started to do all of this. And then the VPN was like, hey, we're going to start stuttering and randomly drop your connection speed so low somehow that I'm going to time out of the recording studio. And then my antivirus was like, hey, this same app that's had access to your microphone and webcam for like the last 2 years, you don't want that anymore, right? We're just going to start blocking that for you.
And we've turned it into a drinking game. So every time Andrew drops off tonight, Reese and I will have a little sip.
Now, I got to find out where the webcam block is. Or not the webcam, but the microphone block is.
You can do it. You can do it.
That one's done.
Does that count?
While Andrew's figuring that out, Reese, how the hell are you? How's things down in your neck of the woods?
You know, things are all right. I will say I'm having a bit of a tough time because we've just switched over from heat to AC and I just can't get a good temperature and life is so hard right now.
Okay, look. That's so real. Oh my God. And with a humidity point so high down there, that is so hard to navigate.
I've been wearing sweatpants for so long, they just stay on. And
You heard of painted on jeans. Well, now we got stuck on sweatpants.
And now I'm like cutting them off just so I can stay cool.
Got the fancy cut-off sweats.
Like jorts, but
Hey,
sweatpants
look.
instead.
I'm going to Walmart later. I gotta look nice.
I mean, the nice part might be debatable, but the appropriate is never in question.
Going to Walmart, gotta look.
I guess I should say I gotta look the part.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It makes me so happy.
Oh, it's been a freaking day. Oh, in other news, I got my car detailed for the first time in like years. It's only the third or fourth time my car's been detailed in the just over 7 years I've had it, right? And it's the first time it's been detailed, guaranteed, in at least the last 5, because it has not been detailed since I moved up here to North Carolina. Well, like 2, maybe 3 years ago, I got hit in Myrtle Beach, and I thought the repair shop did a great job. Well, did you know that if your car is dirty enough, when the repair shop's shitty paint job starts to crack on your car, the dirt will fill in and hide the cracks in the paint until you pay somebody? This dude spent 4 hours cleaning my car inside and out, which still begs the question on how there are still spots on the inside of the windshield, but it looks hand over fist, heads over tails, whatever, better than it did before. Except for the fact that I can now look at where the repair was done and be like, why does the brand new rear passenger corner panel that was replaced and presumably painted, why is the paint cracking after not even a full 3 years? I was already going to get the car repainted because it needs it because of the scratches on the paint. And it's, again, the car's 10 years old. I've had it for just over almost 7.5. Why do I have under 3-year-old paint cracking? You know why? Because people want to charge you an arm and a leg for body work and do a shit fucking job.
Yeah.
And then be astonished when you look at them and go, this isn't right.
You've heard of the landlord special.
Yeah.
Now get ready for the auto body special.
Auto body special is just cutting corners and hoping it's good enough to where you lose the receipts and don't notice. The landlord special is just not moving shit off of the counter and painting over your screwdriver and the light switch and the electrical outlet.
Yep. Do you ever watch those videos when people are painting and they like cut in the electrical socket and it looks really clean, like real sharp? They're like, their lines are perfect and they're like, and it looks beautiful. And then they just go blah, 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 blah over the fucking outlet. Oh,
no.
It hurts me. It hurts my soul every time.
Thankfully, I haven't seen that one. If you have a job and you get paid well to do the job, do the fucking job.
And do it right.
Do it at least up to the standard for which you're getting paid. And when you're getting paid by, I don't know, an insurance company where you know you're going to get the money, maybe do the fucking job. So, Meadows Bodywork in Havelock, North Carolina, fuck off. Paint sucks ass.
We calling them out by name. What? We don't.
I had to wait like 2 months to get the work even done. Which, again,
tainted.
Shipping issues and all that other shit, but
we don't cancel people, we taint people.
They're lucky they don't have a YouTube channel. I'd fucking destroy that one too.
Well, how many YouTube channels have we bail fired? 2?
No, just the one.
Just the one? No, there was something else we broke too.
No, that was the theme park. We broke Evermore.
We broke Evermore.
Yeah.
We held one event at Evermore, and they were like, "Never again, never again."
They heard Josh's blistering review of the jalapeno poppers, and we're like, "We'll never financially recover.
We'll never recover from this."
So I was watching the. I'm sorry, that was very distracting. And now I'll have to tell you a different story. And that was right after COVID started. I was doing video calls with my one coworker that I was on the same team with, and she had a smoke detector that would chirp in the back of every single call. And we had sent each other things from Amazon before, so I literally just sent her a package of batteries.
Take your shame in form of battery.
One day, and all of a sudden my Teams goes off, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Amazon just delivered batteries to my house." And I was like, "Oh, you're welcome. I mean, thank you, I guess. Go change that."
You're like, Amazon's monitoring your smoke detectors. Okay. Jeff Bezos wants you to change out your damn batteries.
It was so funny though, because she was actually really thankful. She's like, I kept meaning to do it. And just, it's one of those things you never think of. You know, she's got 3 kids. She's running all over the place. She's working from home. It's COVID time. Those kids are working from home too. Yeah. She's like, I actually am very grateful that you sent me these batteries via Amazon. And I was like, well, you're welcome. It was very selfish.
We broke Commissioner Smack.
I feel better about my VPN because it just froze up on me out of nowhere for no reason again.
Hey,
So
sweet.
now I'm running a continuous ping on restream.io.
Hey.
Mhm.
For it to tell me nothing and freeze up again anyway because
Well,
fuck me.
I just want to say,
Speaking of fucking me,
we do love talking about the bullshit all the time. We love it. We'll do it all day, every day.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're here specifically.
I thought we have the patron chat
Specifically,
afterwards.
We're
Specific.
here to talk about Wheel of Time. And in this particular case, we're going to talk about a specific Wheel of Time concept. It's a theory episode tonight. You heard me.
But
And
before
I'm
we get
excited.
into the theories,
Mm.
if you want to get something that's absolutely real and not theoretical, go and get some of the fantastic stuff over at newcreationsbyjen.com.
Definitely
You
do
can
that.
get a whole bunch of customized stuff for all kinds of occasions, birthdays, graduations. You can customize all kinds of gifts for the holidays, ones you do celebrate, ones you don't celebrate. You know, maybe you got friends that celebrate things you don't and you want to be nice. Or maybe you got friends that don't celebrate things and you want to be a dick. I don't know. Live your life. You're an adult. Make your own bad decisions.
Maybe
I
you
make
want
plenty
to
of my own.
celebrate yourself, winner.
There you go. And the best way to celebrate yourself is to go there and check out the fantastic Wheel of Time content creator stuff from Black Tower Podcast, where you can get our
True.
Frosty mug if you want to buy that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And there's a bunch of other content creators out there, you know, fantastic. Maybe you may have heard of, like Kate Redding and Michael Kramer, Critter XD, the Will Weaves, the Will Reads, you know, a couple other fantastic content creators, and the whole Randland souvenir series, which Rob, the designer himself, designs and puts up there. So go and check them out. I think this really weird niche show. This really nerdy people, like two geeks, one mic, or whatever. Have stuff.
I think it's got like a yeah.
I don't know. They're weird. Their whole like logo looks like green spunk.
I actually got this from them at the one con, and I thought it kind of resembled something funny myself.
But go and check out newcreationsbyjen.com. They got a bunch of fantastic stuff and an almost endless list of customizable stuff you can get for your own occasions. Like you can customize a flask for the next like elementary school field day. You know? Perfect. Nothing hits like warm Kool-Aid out of a flask that's been in your backpack.
Kool-Aid.
That being said, let's make sure you're protected from the spoilers of this episode. Josh, this is one of your favorites.
Yes.
The following show contains spoiler for the entire Wheel of Time series. If you have not finished the series, you are at risk of being spoiled. You have been warned. What does this even mean?
I like to envision whenever he does the pause strain on knot that he's like pushing out a nugget. It's like you have none.
You know, it's entirely possible.
I mean, he
That's
could have
true.
shit his brains out, and that's why he doesn't understand what this even means.
I've gone ahead and put the link for New Creations by Jen into the chat. And I'm even going to go a bit further, and I'm going to put the Black Tower Podcast link direct to our store there. So you
Don't
can
worry,
see
it's not like those weird toys for Wicked that redirected everybody to a porn. Or maybe it is.
Sorry.
Dude, that was great.
Yeah, we said
Hey!
Look at this. Look, I'm so ticked off that I'm molting.
Did I freeze? Did I freeze? Did I lag out on you?
You did.
I can see it. I got a one ping. Request timed out. What the fuck is happening?
Oh, there's a big surprise. That's incredible. I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die of not surprised.
That's got to happen to one of us.
It does.
It's not Josh, it's me. If it's not me, it's Josh.
Yep. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. That's just
Anyway,
the way it is.
Reese, I like the way you introduce topics. What are we talking about?
Yeah, Reese.
Today.
Don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Like you know how the NFL fines players for like wearing just like the wrong shoes?
Yeah, don't worry. We'll never get a fine for this. Okay,
Good.
we are talking about.
We're talking about Mama Smurf's new line of products.
I thought we were talking about the freely frolicking fin, and I thought it perfectly fit.
I mean, it would perfectly fit. Oh my goodness, yes. We're talking about the fin, the people that say, we'll give you an apple and you give us all of those yummy, yummy sensations and feelings and memories. And in exchange, we'll stay out of your realm, possibly. It's an interesting trade deal. It's an interesting situation. And it doesn't necessarily make sense for the fin.
They must
I think.
really like our emotions.
They must really like starving.
I mean, that too.
Because here's the whole reason. Well, this stemmed from an older conversation we had about the Finn and the Ogier potentially being enemies of each other.
Right.
And it went on. I know part of the thing in that conversation, or at least the conversation that led to that conversation, was maybe the Ogier played a role in sealing the Finn away in Sindhole, in their own realm, which would help make sense of why the redstone doorways look the way they do, with the kind of impossibly twisting way the stone warps around in ways that don't seem like they would make sense for any kind of craftsman, which isn't something I thought about before. It was something that just kind of tickled my brain wrinkles just now. So maybe that happened. But if you are an entire race of beings who feeds off of the sensations and emotions and sentiment of other beings, and you know how just god dang emotional humans are, and how tumultuous our world is, ripe for the feeding, like just Dementors having a fucking picnic, literally. Why would you seal yourself away in your own realm?
Sit at an airport all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah, just be like what's his name? Colin from What We Do in the Shadows. Just the emotional that's all they are. They're fucking emotional vampires with magical powers to grant wishes. Colin can grant wishes. He just like steals shit and like leaves it in the stocking. These guys are just like, oh yeah, sure. No, we got a big ass treasury. Here you go. Here, you want something? You want a fancy weapon? Here's a lightsaber on a stick.
With a butter knife tied with a piece of cloth. So no, this actually brings up a pretty
That's
good...
what it is. It's the fucking bread toasting knife from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
No, I actually have a super loony theory about the actual Ashendari.
Okay, hit it.
Based on the season thus far. I think that I mean, it's not fully fleshed out. There are a lot of holes to be filled here.
We're talking about the Finn fleshed out. They're pretty good at filling holes.
See, we're all on. Why crickets?
I legit thought that was a cricket for a second. I was like,
Anyways, okay, so
we're filling those holes.
We are filling the holes. In Rand's vision, he saw the first one. He puts the spear down. It has a black shaft and it has designs on the spearhead.
Yeah,
I've been told that this is not actual writing.
It's pretty scribbling, yeah.
However, I think it would be a fun twist to have him go through the Tarvalon doorway.
Okay.
Come out of the Ruidian doorway.
Oh. So they're like...
And as he's leaving, he's like stumbling around and happens to grab the first spear left at Ruidian that happens to have the black hilt.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that.
That was my loony theory.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
I think that'd be cool. Because they like made a point of showing that spear when he stuck it in. I was like, that doesn't look like their spears now.
And it's not, it was not a regular Aiel spear.
What if what they do, same idea, but Min is there, and in her desperation to make up for what she did to Matt and to try to alter her vision, her curse, she comes across him hanging from the doorway grabs the first thing she can, and it's that spear, and uses it to cut him down.
Bam.
I like that.
Now, here's the thing. We know that's not going to
He's in
happen.
Tanchico, so instead of Tarvalon, they could find one in Tanchico when he goes through it.
Oh yeah, and
We didn't see one in.
Wait, yeah, in the.
Oh, that's right.
The,
In
the
the
ones
show.
we know from the books, there's one in the Stone of Tyr, and there's one in Ruidian.
Yeah.
And if they were going to rectify it in a way to put Matt in the waste with Rand, like he always should have been, but I that difference I understand. There's a good reason for that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
go with me now.
understand.
Ready? Here's my loony theory.
We did say this is a theory episode. If you don't like it, if you're not ADD enough for this episode, I get it, and that's okay.
The
I'm
theory
going a
is that we
little-
announce a topic and actually talk about it. That's
I'm going. I'm going a little loonier with this one. So okay, we saw
Matt
the
Hatch has entered
doorway.
the chat.
Only if it's about boots or land fear.
We saw. I'll see what I can do. I'll tie something in. We saw the doorway in the 13th depository. Naomi stole a bunch of artifacts, Tower Grill, Song Grill. What if
Get her hands
she
on.
was able to put the entire doorway into her bag of holding?
Is that a euphemism?
Always. And bring the whole thing with her.
You know what we need to do? Speaking of like completely different thoughts, if somebody hasn't already done it with the TV show, if you could like edit together. It wasn't the actual beat that threw me off. It was the weird fucking echo of the beat that was like, somebody needs to take and do like a video edit of Lanfear walking around to Jessica Simpson's "These Boots Were Made for Walking," just so that Matt has something to play on an infinite loop for the rest of his life. Like, these boots are gonna walk all over you, and there's just Matt in his truck on the way to work. Yes. Actually, no. This might be a little bit too impure for Matt's wholesome heart. The temptation is already too much out. Anyway, no, I like it. I'm stuck on the men thought, and if I wound up being right about that, like I was in the not very public but still prediction on Egwene being Egwene in episode 5 at the end. Well, I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. I mean, it's full spoiler. Egwene stumbling into Rand's dream and being heartbroken because of it. Maybe stay out of people's dreams. Doesn't excuse what he did, but also respect some privacy.
Well,
but that goes for each iteration of her just jumping into other people's dreams. Like, that's pretty fucking rude.
So I'll be honest.
But now
We've read about this, but actually seeing it, I was really getting some SpongeBob vibes from it when he visits the dreams. Like, that's kind of how it felt when I was watching it. I was like,
did you see the
like SpongeBob?
Did you see the clever way that they're going to save money on the CGI budget between showing how you move from place to place in the dream world and traveling? Like through gateways, because they made it the fucking same.
Oh.
The same way we see people, the Forsaken that we've seen travel, the way everything just kind of like space-time like folds in on itself, and they it's the same way that Egwene moves from one place to another in Teleron Riyadh.
Do you guys remember?
I believe.
Year?
I've only looked at it once because I can only watch episode 5 once.
Do you guys remember last year when we predicted that? When I specifically predicted that, how cool would it be to see weapons scattered across the Aiel Waste around Ruidian from all of the clan chiefs that died and never came back? And then everybody was like, that's a really dumb theory because the Aiel wouldn't like leave those resources out to go to waste. They would reuse them. And when Maidens of the Spear go, they break their spears and forge the spear tips into other things and blah, blah.
Yeah, Josh, what are you, stupid?
I'd just like to say I called it.
I don't think that happened.
The whole point of that tangent.
I don't think that happened.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and find it.
I mean, as much times as I said, like, I predicted this or predicted that or something close to it, like, I don't doubt it. Like, that does sound like something you would say, like a visual you would have and be like, oh, that'd be really cool. And just be like, yeah, that would look really cool. But, you know, using book logic Which
Yeah.
using book logic, which is the number one problem, you can't use book logic for the TV show.
True.
And you can hate that or love that. I think it's understandable. I mean, you do have to adapt and change things. And actually, I don't remember in the books of Frolicking which surrounded by spheres or not.
Oh, was it?
But you would think in a it's a weird middle ground thing in a area devoid of resources. You don't want to leave any laying around unnecessarily, but also in a highly honor bound society, in a highly tradition bound society, I guess I could see it.
Yeah, I could
I mean,
see.
Like they're
I
lost.
feel like
I say they're tradition bound and honor bound, but what kind of mom names her sons Muladin and Kuladin?
look, we're not saying she didn't have some type of desert herb to dull the pain.
That's the only explanation.
You can be honor bound and culture bound and duty bound and still be an idiot.
That's like having 3 kids being like, "Oh, this is Braden and this is Jaden and this is Caden."
Or this is Josh.
I just
this is
offended
John,
somebody's
and this is
mom.
Jacob, and
You just offended like a lot of people's moms because that's all
Probably.
of their siblings.
Anyway, that's
Okay,
probably
so
why
the
I get
Finn-
the alerts about there being hot single moms in my area. That was rude. I'm sorry. That's probably a section that might only be in the live.
That's okay.
Patrons might be the only ones that hear
I get notifications that there are hot single moms in my area too.
it. Hey,
you guys get those too.
Why are there no hot single dads?
that's my biggest question. Where's all the dads?
Where are the dads?
Well, maybe the Finn took them.
Is there something you want to talk about, Andrew?
Maybe the Finn took them. So, yeah, the Finn, who feed off of emotions and sensations and just all this emotional energy and memories.
That's where the hot single dad went.
Yeah. A lot of emotions there. Did you just jiggle your...
I'm trying to get the puppy to come up and say hi.
Oh,
But the puppy doesn't want to say hi. The puppy wants to sit right here and not say hi.
Jesus Christ. Josh is just the only one to click on him.
Look, you think you got a good one. They turn out to be a robot, an AI generated thing, and all they want is for you to send money to their cousin who's a Nigerian prince, and then he'll give me $400 billion because of the exchange rate. And just,
Well, that's
Customs,
true
man.
though. My cousin
Customs
is a
keeps
Nigerian
holding
prince.
up all this money. Stupid.
Anyway,
government.
what sense does it make for the Finn to willfully enter into an agreement that would section them off from the rest of the world? They obviously have an anchor that anchors some sort of physical
Hey!
and everything else. I didn't get a request timeout, but I did get a surge from 20 to 76 minutes. No, 85.
Hey, 2 geeks, 1 mic. Fuck you.
Yeah, why would they agree? So they have the physical tie in the Tower of Genji, or Genji, whatever you want to say, that is a physical marker that anchors them a physical connection to Randland, which is a little weird. Because other than the portal stones, there are no other tentative anchors or ties to other dimensional realities or other mirror worlds of sorts to Randland. Other than the portal stones, which are generic in nature, they're not specific to other realities or dimensions as far as we know. And they're definitely not in the same way like the Tower of Genji. And then, in addition to those, you have the twisted redstone doorways.
Mm-hmm.
So they have very specific mechanisms. And the doorways, because I think Matt talks about it in Towers of Midnight whenever they go in for the rescue, that they're no longer protected by the treaty because they didn't enter through the doorway.
Right.
So there's something about the nature of the doorways. Maybe they're Terangri on this. Maybe just their nature in terms of the entryways for the bargain that is an inherent part of the bargain and agreement. But still, the question remains, why would you willfully cut yourself off from a massively abundant, easily replenishable food source?
Okay,
like
but
humanity?
what if they weren't like cut off, but only given so much access to? Like, what if they're not from the same? Like, they were just like their agreement was like, look, we really love the emotions that come from this world that you've created, and they're kind of in short supply where we are. And it seems like you guys have like a ton. Like, I mean, I saw that like Dragon Mount exploded a little bit ago, and like maybe, just maybe, you need some help taking care of some of that excess.
I mean, if you got that close to North Harbor, you explode too.
Can confirm.
I do the alphabet. A is for Alfred. B is for Bat.
That video might be the funniest damn video that's ever been made, ever. Like second, or at least second place to every video where a dude gets hit in the balls, because that's also fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what if? Here's the other thing. Let's think about it like this too. We don't know when these things came, right? As far as we know, there's no mention of them in the Age of Legends.
They have names.
Um,
Elephant number 1, elephant number 2, elephant number 3, female elephant number 1.
Not you, elephant
Nicely
number
dressed
2.
elephant.
Not you, elephant, holding a wrench, making it look like you're doing something. No, but so there we can assume that the arrival happened sometime after the War of the Shadow and the Breaking, right? Because if they had the Twisted Door ter'angreal in that time, or at least if they knew about them, they would have probably used them. I would be willing to bet that I don't think this was them willingly sealing themselves off. I think this was them establishing a beachhead, and it was someone's desperation to head off the breaking, and so they made a deal to get, I don't know, maybe it was Farmadding. Maybe Farmadding wanted the ter'angreal, the Guardian, to prevent channeling inside the city, right? Maybe it was someone else. Maybe it was someone who wanted one of the ter'angreal that could locate male channelers. There's a lot that you could say for that, but I think it's something that they did. And so what happens now is you've got the elfin and the eelfin with a foothold on Earth, right? Well, unfortunately for them, the breaking happens and everything is scattered, especially the one door frame that goes to Ruidian. It just gets sealed away for 3,000 years. Nobody's seen it. Nobody cares about it. Nobody's heard about it. Nobody knows what it is. The only reason we even know about the other one in Tyr is because the Mayenners had it for some reason, which we can also say that could have been one of the Gen Aiel that broke their oaths and went south instead of going into the waste and had the door with them. And hey, it ended up in one of the countries down there, and that's how the country got established, is because they used. Point being, I think the Finn had designs of having a stronger presence here, but then our own chaos sealed up that opportunity.
So here's my thought, and it's still going to stick a lot with the Ogier Finn conflicting. The Ogier are thought to have come to Earth sometime between the end of the First Age and beginning type area of the Second Age.
Right.
So by the time the breaking happens, the Ogier have already been here for an age's worth, which is not an actual measure of time, because an age could be like 5 years, it could be 5 million years. There's no sense.
Right.
But so they've already been here. They're here for the entirety of the Second Age. Age of Legends, coincidentally, an era of the closest the world ever gets to a utopian peak. But then the Boar gets drilled into. Mirren and her partner, who, because he died right then and there, will forever remain name forgotten. I'm sorry, bro. Like, yeah, I found it on the world's greatest.
I found it
on the world's greatest
detective.
In an order that would surprise you. That's mouthpatch.
Which one of these tubes do you smell out of?
Anyway, so the Ogier, I think, get attracted to the domain of Earth at its most peaceful because of the peace. They see how peaceful and tranquil Earth is in the Second Age, and it grabs their attention as they need to move from their parallel world into another, and they say, this place looks good. and so they come to Earth. I think the same type of thing happens with the Finn. Because the oldest kind of memory or so that we can get from Matt comes from somewhere around 500 AB. So we're 500 years after the breaking. Imagine the amount of negativity, turmoil, chaos, and suffering happening during the breaking. That could be, and with the Dark One already being, the Boar itself being a breach in space-time reality, that could have been a shining beacon, like the Denny's light at 2 o'clock in the morning or the Waffle House sign at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're drunk as shit, but clearly you're not the one driving because that would be irresponsible. Shining for the Finn. And that's what attracts the Finn to the world. What if part of the destruction and everything that's happening during the breaking is the Ogier also having had experience jumping parallel world to parallel world, and the Finn presumably doing the same feeding from parallel world to parallel world. They've run into each other. So during the breaking, they also find that they're once again interacting in the same world. And what if the bargain isn't between humanity and the Finn, but humanity's included? What if the bargain is really between the Finn and the Ogier? And thus the inclusion of the no instruments of music, because the Ogier are so infamous for tree singing.
That's interesting.
And it's them trying to find a way to coexist in the same world. Like, the Ogier don't get an overwhelming amount of control, especially with the settings presumably broken up, some lost and spread out. And the Finn don't get an overwhelming amount of control and influence by secluding themselves to Sindhole and only allowing visitors through the bargain. Which then would make sense for the Ogier to assist in the creation of the Twisted Stone Door Terran-Grial, given their weird twisted stone construction.
I was actually thinking about the twisted door frame as well as the way gates, and I was just thinking, like, are these stargates? Like, is this just Stargate, different worlds coming through during different times? Like, do we just mash these up a little bit?
What are we talking, like SG-1?
Yeah.
Obviously, the best one.
I'm assuming there's more SGs. I've never watched Stargate.
Yeah.
I've just seen clips of the one dude with the symbol of the eye on his forehead, and that's about it.
There's several different spin-off series, but SG-1 was the best.
Yeah, they're just giant stone, the Stargate is a giant stone doorway, and they open up to different doorways and different worlds.
Chevron 1 encoded.
It's like the weird high school combination lock of interdimensional travel.
Okay, but I love Stargate.
I like the idea of the Ogier being drawn by the time of peace, and then the Finn being drawn by the chaos.
Like that too. I like that as well.
I think it would be fun if the bargain was made like with the creator, who's just kind of like over here, like not paying attention. Then he's like, "Oh, what? You want to come and feed off of the threads in my pattern?" No. Oh, well, just the ones that enter your tower. Well, anybody could walk into your tower. Oh, they have to make the symbol. Okay. Well, yeah, I could see that. Well, what if they and then they get into this bargain?
They had it out that way.
I think
that's interesting. Although the only thing I would say to that one though is that they would have that would make them some sort of extra paternal beings.
I mean, no more than the Ogier.
But Ogier are still part of the pattern.
So are the Finn.
Well,
they can live and die.
But did they? I guess. Oh, I feel like that gets into a bigger question. Like, how many dimensions is the pattern?
Infinite.
All dimensions are in the same age lace.
So it's just like a block of thread.
Yes.
I like this. I want to see this museum.
Didn't you ever see the movie
The
Wanted?
world's greatest yarn ball.
Some huge freaking loom.
Some huge friggin' guy.
I
The
mean,
biggest
'cause I could
ball
also
plant
see
in Minnesota.
I could also see the Ogier recognizing the short history retention span of humanity, creating the game of snakes and foxes as a cautionary tale to
Yeah.
humanity to not fuck around with the funky ass weird doors.
Okay,
Like,
so
hey, no matter what you do, you're gonna lose. It's not worth it. Don't go through the funky ass doorways. Stay away from the snakes and the foxes.
so my theory kind of goes along with this though, and kind of gives a reason for the game to be forgotten. Say we have the game, right? Say we know the game, and the game's a warning, and you can't use, iron to bind courage, fire for courage, iron to bind, music to
Courage
blah
to
blah blah blah.
strengthen, fire to blind, music to
Yeah,
dazzle, iron to bind.
yeah, that.
Luckily, I have it up on the screen right here. I didn't just remember
You
it.
should have just said, "I can't believe you didn't know that."
Hey, I might
But
be an asshole, but I don't pretend to be better than I am.
so people were going in, right? Because Brigida even shares a story about physically going in, right? And then at some point in time, someone says, because necessity is the mother of all invention, and someone says, look, these beings have the power to help us. We need their help. We need what they can offer us, which is another reason why I love the theory that all Tirangrial come from the Finn. There is there is nobody making the first Tirangrial. What it is that Tirangrial come from the Finn, and then people on Earth were like, hey, I think I can make this. Like Elaine, and then as studies were made and as things, passed out, we eventually figured out how. But it originated from the Finn. And one of these Tirangrial they figured out was this door. And if you enter the door, you enter into their realm with a set of rules, right? You can't have fire or music or iron, and you must, ask your questions and, negotiate the price with them directly. I don't know. It's just there's a lot there that's like, okay, if you go through the door, you have a bubble of protection so long as you maintain this treaty that we've kind of tricked them into.
Well,
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
I had another thought. Wheel of Time loves its balance, right?
Yeah.
Ogier are kind of like the stewards of history, for at least as long as they've been around. They have an impeccable memory and a massive record of everything that's happened as long as they've been on Earth for the most part.
A massive handle.
Everything that they could save. Yeah, yeah. The Finn, every question they're asked for the most part, whenever they're asked for answers, is about what?
Not anymore.
Yeah. But every time they're asked questions, it's about what? About the future.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? What happens here? They're answering questions about what's to come. There's a bit of a balance there, and the Ogier being kind of stewards of the past, and the Finn being purveyors of the
Potential
future.
futures.
Well, no, not potential. They don't give you potentialities.
Well, they give you if then statements, right? If you want to win the last battle, then you must do these things.
Yeah,
and then
but they give you concrete answers. It's not like a hey, what's going to happen to me in the future? Well, you might do this, and you might do that, and you might do this. At the most, like if you stay on your current course, your neck will shrivel by 3 inches, but your dick will grow by 2. Like,
no. They give finite answers in the sense that, well, for instance, they tell Rand, if you want to win the last battle, you absolutely must unite all nations. Period. End of story. That is the only way you can have a chance at winning the last battle. And it's worded very carefully so that if he doesn't unite all banners, he is guaranteed 100% there is no way he will win the last battle. But if he does unite all banners, that is, first off, that's the only way to win Tarman Gaiden. And even then, it's not guaranteed. It's just that's the only guaranteed way to maybe win.
I also just thought of, so you know how when Matt's there asking questions and they start demanding that he leave because it's like there's like the whole like realm is quaking.
Mm-hmm.
Their power relies on them being able to read the threads of the pattern into the future. And Taviran are gravity wells in the threads of the pattern. They manipulate the threads, pull and push them in different ways, and manipulate the probability of the threads in the pattern. So they make their answers and their part of their side of the bargain less and less probable by simply existing. So they're like the antithesis to the requirements of the Finn side of the, well, not the whole Finn, but the first ones, the Aelfin side of the bargain.
Yeah.
Because the Aelfin side of the bargain is that they have to give truthful, direct answers to the question asked.
Right.
Which to Taviran would be like their worst nightmare. And of course, at the same time that they're answering Matt's questions, they're also answering Rand's question.
Yeah.
So you have two Taviran in the realm of the Finn asking them differing questions while they're both trying to read the threads of the pattern going into the future while essentially fighting against two massive black holes in the middle of the threads that they're trying to read.
And they also love channelers too, don't forget. And Moraine is in there at the same time. And this is how
Well,
Matt
that's more the
gets
Eelfin
away.
than the Aelfin.
Yeah. This is how Matt gets away with a second set of questions. Is they're so discombobulated and they're so desperate to get him out of there that they answer a second set of questions.
Well,
I was actually thinking about
it's a fourth question.
this as far as the like Terangriel and Sangreal, especially with the Aes Sedai and Viridian, the rings that go towards the future.
Right.
I feel like, when we talk about maybe all Angreal come from the Finn, maybe not all of them, but specific ones. Like maybe there was some type of power that when we hit the bore, they were also tapped into. And it kind of like merged our, the pattern with whatever wavelength they're on. And instead of like storming in, that's where whoever came in was like, whoa, let's make a bargain here. But the rings that the Aes Sedai go through, that the wise ones go through, that show them futures. What if that's how the Finn gather their futures? What if these are probabilities played forward? Like when that thread walks through, it's almost like the fates reading that person's thread as they walk through. Because, the Finn's realm is very round. There are no corners, everything's turning, and there are the rings in Ruidian. There are the rings, the archers that the Aes Sedai walk through. Like, what if that's that connection to the future is like how they can pool some of their energy when they don't have heroes coming through the doorway or arches and asking for things. It's all connected.
It's all connected in a web or a wheel, as it were.
It's a circle.
What? What say you?
But yeah, so
Doth it be a shape of thine wheels? Guy Roberts is watching
it
right
doth
now.
be a
He's like,
shape
"Oh,
of
fuck."
infinite continuity.
No, that's a Mobius strip.
I mean, a circle is also infinite continuity.
What's this term?
A circle doesn't end.
Yeah, I know.
Because
you're
technically, a circle's
right. Okay, look,
two-dimensional,
Andrew,
so you
you're
can't
smarter
change from
than
one
me.
side to the
Okay,
other.
is that what you want? Fuck.
Now, if you're gonna go 3D, it would have to be a Mobius strip to be a 3D continuous one. Infinite continuity. Yeah. Anyway, still, regardless of like how all this stuff works, like I cannot fathom a reason for the Finn to willfully section themselves off from their food source to the degree that they have. Like, yes, you do have like predators that sit there and lay in wait. And I guess you could maybe try to make the argument that they would rather wait for someone to be so desperate that they go through the doorways because they're going to be like the finer meals for them. But I'm like, okay, there's no guarantee anybody's going to come through. Anybody that comes through and comes out might be like, yeah, this is fucking weird. I'm just going to hide this away forever. It seems like nobody makes a bargain without a reason. There has to be a reason to make a bargain that places such heavy restriction on both parties.
This is dependent on what? This is dependent on two things, right? One, snakes and foxes is impossible to win. You can't win it. Don't go in the tower. You will lose. You will die. right? And we know that numerous people have attempted it, or we assume that numerous people have attempted it, and we know that there have been attempts in the past because Birgitta tells specific stories of going into them and even dying in one of those lifetimes. But somewhere along the way, someone was very much like Matt, made it out alive and somehow bargained to have the two Tyron Griel, right? Somehow managed to trick them. I think I think it was a clever person who did a clever thing and sort of tricked them. Because here's the other thing we know: we've got Lanfear and Moraine Moraine in the in that realm, and they're all just feeding off her the entire time. So they can probably preserve someone's life while feeding on their emotions and suffering. So you just need a couple suckers, preserve their life indefinitely, or suckies, as the case may be.
Yeah, and we do know that they like people with the power. What? Okay. What if I'm thinking now, like, what if they like, yeah, what if they're from the same dimension? They're the same like place that the Dark One was trapped. Like they were like a similar place, and like they both like went to step through at the same time. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on. I was gonna come in and take over all of this. And they're like, well, I mean, I wasn't gonna take over. I just wanted to consume all of the power available to me. That's all. Like, okay, well,
I just wanted to
kind of
go
a
to
lot.
Golden Corral and eat my money's worth.
Yeah. And then what if they're like, okay, so like what if I say you can consume all of my friends here as long as they're trapped in this space? And the Finn are like, well, they do seem kind of powerful, but I don't know. I feel like I want a little more. And the Dark One's like, okay, I'll make a treaty with you. And then as soon as they finish up the treaty, he's like, hey, Forsaken, get on out of here. And now the Finn are forever trying to get the Forsaken back. And that's why they just are so excited to get old Lanny.
Old Lanny.
But then they do let her go pretty easy. So
Nope.
yeah.
She dies. I think Moraine negotiated for her death.
For whose death?
For Lanfear's.
Lanfear's not killed by the Fin.
I thought she
Morden
was.
shows up, negotiates her release, gets her out of there, and then Morden kills her himself.
That's right.
Yeah. Which kind of, well, I guess that kind of does go to prove, like, I mean, it adds more credence to the, like, look.
Yeah.
You remember the agreement. This is one of ours.
It
You
also
can drain her, but then we're going to take her.
It also gives credence to the fact that someone, because are we really going to suggest that Moradin went through one of the Twisted Door Terran Grial? Or did he go to that realm in the, just straight through the tower because he knows what he's doing? So it would
What
suggest
if it's
that,
linked to the true power?
but actually that would suggest, links to the true power.
All you have to do to get through the Tower of Genji is draw the symbol of the game with a brass instrument.
To get in, but how do you get out safely? You've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to know what you're doing really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the nice thing too about being in a place where all of the rooms are designed to look the same is it's really easy to get really familiar with where you are. Also, I think it stands to reason that given that Ishii got 40 years to roam every 1,000 years,
Yeah.
there's a fair chance that he's been through the portal at least once or twice. And I also like this too. Wolf Brother just said it. And we both tried to show it at the same time. There's
That's
probably more, and it would make more sense for the Finn to have more doorways scattered across the world that have been lost over time. I mean, considering all the different stuff that Morden and them have found, I mean, these would be doorways and stuff that would have come around after the breaking of the world. Well, no.
Too bad it wasn't in that.
He would have had to have he would have had to have experimented with them either after his full breaking from the seals or during his intermediate breakings. And I would imagine that during his 40-year stints of freedom, he would be looking for very powerful objects of the power. He probably would have come across the redstone doorway. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ishmael didn't go this entire time knowing that the only way to get what he wanted is to do everything he did to Rand, to push Rand to do what he did for them to swap bodies so that he could die in the end.
Huh.
That's what I'm going to say. Ishmael asked the Finn, how could he finally be free of his cycle of rebirth and his torment of reality? And they said, you must lose to the you must lose to the dragon reborn, or something to that nature. But basically told him that he's going to have to basically end up doing what he did. Because the last answer that they give Rand, whenever he says, "How could he win the last battle and survive?" is north and south, north and east must be as one, west and south must be as one. The two must be as one. To live, you must die. The last part being, you and Moradin have to pretty much be as one, and for you to live, you must also die.
Yeah.
Okay, what if?
Those last two sentences could be like word for.
Hmm.
I just saw the request timeout, and I'm just like, you bastard. As I was making a point, it timed out. Those last two sentences, the two must be as one, to live you must die, could be almost the exact same thing they told Ishmael.
Oh, we
Like,
heard you on that
the
one.
two must be as one, to die you must live.
What if? I was just thinking of this while you were talking. What if the door frames were discovered in an earlier attempt to drill into the bore? Like when they were trying to tap into that power.
Yeah.
When they were doing their research, what if in an earlier attempt they found this other doorway and it ended up being the gateway to the Finn? And then that ended up being like oops, we opened this doorway. Let's make this bargain.
I did it again.
And then next time they made sure to blow the whole thing so they didn't have to make any agreement.
I really like your thought about ties to the true source, because that would lend itself to the whole creation of Terangrial, which would be the twisted door Terangrial. That would also explain why Moradin. The other thing is that Moradin has had several different sessions, right? Several different, lifetimes. I would think that he went into the tower not using the twisted door Tirangriel, because you can only use that once, unless there's a key, unless the true source is a key to access it once. And that's where I'm kind of getting like, ooh, this is interesting.
What if the cooldown on use is just like longer than the normal human time span?
That too. Yeah.
So to this one, as we're getting close to the end here, Hugh comes with the wine and says, okay, so that actually lends itself to the travel that they were able to do in the Age of Legends. The door frames are from the Age of Legends. They were probably a science experiment in traveling the universe. I don't think they're from the Age of Legends, and that is only predicated on the age of the memories that Matt gets from the Finn. And the oldest memory he gets only goes back until about 500 AB or after breaking, which would be after the Age of Legends. And we don't have any stories about the Finn. I mean, we don't have any stories about a lot coming from the Age of Legends, so that's not really saying much. But we don't have anything from then. And I would imagine if they had access to like oracles that could answer questions for them, that somebody in the Hall of Servants would have probably went to the Finn and be like, hey, sorry to bother you real quick, but a whole bunch of our friends turned evil and we just unshackled the literal devil. How do we stop that?
It's really cute that you're going to defeat me with the power of friendship, but I am the devil from the Bible.
So there's that. Now I don't know about the Tower of Genji, the Age of It. And I don't know that we get anything other than Baal Doman saying it's been there as long as anybody can remember.
Yeah, I believe
because Brigida. The only thing we get from Brigida about the Age of It is that the Finn were the ones that came to the reality as we know it. Which again doesn't necessarily mean that they're the ones that created the door frames. I think the door frames, because they do bind with the bargain, the door frames were created as the bargain. As a part of the bargain. I still really like. I still really like my Ogier and Finn theory and that kind of stuff. But next, they are all talking about the door frames. I assume they are all in places that have a cache of Terra Angrial. From the Age of Legends, the only place that has a cache of Terra Angrial from specifically the Age of Legends is Ruidian. Yeah. The Stone of Tyr does have a lot from that existed during the Age of Legends, but it's an amassed collection over time as Tyr sought to erase any chance for anybody to be able to channel within the bounds of Tyr, and they don't have the same statue that was it Faldara has that prevents channeling within the city.
Farmatting.
Farmatting. Yeah, they don't have the same statue. So it's like, well, we can't really stop anybody, but we can take all their fancy toys.
Yeah.
Yes, the first of Maine until 700 NE goes through and talks to the Aelfin. After which, it's presumed that they don't really get any visitors, if any at all, until the Shadow Rising.
Yeah, because the Manners eventually trade it to Tyr as a precaution to keep them from invading.
Yeah, because they're like, we'd rather be safe from Tyr than have the answers from the Fen. Let's see. Portal stones are the things AO people use to travel world. Yeah, so they had a better understanding of them in the Age of Legends for the portal stones, but they didn't. Even the portal stones predated even the Age of Legends. They didn't fully understand them, but they understood them a lot better than obviously the Third Age. They understood everything better than the Third Age because they're what gave the inspiration for the ways.
Yeah.
I'll take the Terran Grial to Ridian. That's why the door ends up there. Yep, it's part of the cache from Paradisen.
That left
That
Paradisen.
makes it there. And the door could have been found during the traveling or created after Ruidian. Absolutely. I think it could have been, especially given how long it took to create Ruidian. I mean, I think anytime after the breaking, even during the breaking, through after the breaking, it could have been. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I'll take the Terran Grial to Ruidian, and that's why the door ends up there as being like it could be from the Age of Legends. That is an interesting point. Because how did it wind up in Ruidian if it wasn't part of the Age of Legends cache? If they didn't have the redstone doorways in the Age
Well,
of
they
Legends?
did have several Gen Aiel parties make it to Ruidian at different times. Like, it's not like they
I
all
mean, yeah, could have
showed
been
up.
picked up over time.
Yeah.
What if that's how? What if this was an earlier experiment and that's how Marin got the idea to find the boar? Because the Finn were like, give us that sweet, sweet emotions.
So the twisted redstone door frames are described as a pair of Terran Grial of polished redstone. So they're described as a pair. One has 3 lines of triangles, points down along each upright. The other has 3 sinuous lines running down each upright from top to bottom, and allow the user to discern which inhabitants are on the other side of the door that they'll interact with. Always look twisted, blah, 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 blah. Any person can step through the doorway since channeling is not required, but you can only use it once. When you step through, you experience white light accompanied by a vast roar of sound. One is in Tyr, the other is located in Ruidian. The Tower of Genji and Andor can be entered by applying the rhyme from Snakes and Foxes, but grants you no protection from the wiles of the Fen. Aside from entering the tower directly, the twisted redstone doorframes are the only known intersection between the human world and Sindhol.
We should
In this
ask
Terran
Maria.
Grial, the user and Fen are bound to the agreement.
Next time we get
Which
to
are
talk
the
to Maria, we
different-
should ask her if there are more than the 2 Twisted Door Terran Grial.
Mm-hmm. Aes Sedai studied the twisted red doorway for years when it was owned by the First of Maine. He used its answers to help remain independent from Tyr until 300 years ago, when Halvar, the First of Maine at the time, traded it to Tyr, and it was entombed in the Great Holding in the Stone of Tyr.
Correct.
This is the one that Matt, Rand, and Moraine all went through at the same time. After finding Moraine, Matt and the others make their way to the original room where Matt entered the realm of the Elfin, and that's where they find that the doorway is shattered with nothing but chunks of red rock rubble left, presumably after the same one on the docks of Kyrian was destroyed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because
So,
Moraine transports it.
would that
to
be more,
Kyrian.
though?
What
Huh?
if we're wrong and the agreement is actually between the Eelfin and the Aelfin
Well,
to
let's
not like
others then.
overstep? And like with one door frame being destroyed, the other one's like, oh, no. If you can't get in there, you can't get in here either. Bye.
So, what time frame? So, the doorway to the Eelfin realm is mentioned in Rand's 5th vision in the histories of the Aiel and Ruidian. So, that's 5 generations before him. And it was packed in a large, flat crate, which had fallen and half broke open to reveal the doorframe of dark red stone.
Huh.
So, and that happens in the Shadow Rising, chapter 26. So, I don't. 5 generations back for Rand, I don't know what that time span or that time frame would be. It would be well after the breaking.
I mean, just for reference, if we
I
went
think.
back 5 generations, I mean, that's before the founding of the United States. So that's several hundred years easy.
Well, that's only saying like 250 years.
No, I'm saying it's far like past that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm asking like
at least-
how far back? Because if the breaking is basically what started the third age, and we're starting the story 3,000 years after the breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're starting the third age 3,000 years after, and you only go 5 generations back for Rand. Is that 1,000 years ago, which gives plenty of time for the Aes Sedai that remain to come across this doorway, and entrust it to the Jin Aiel as well? Or
I don't think
is
it's
5 generations back potentially like closer to 3,000 years?
I don't think it's necessarily like 5 generations, right? I think there's skips. Like he plays his dad. Here he sees his dad, and then he goes back a couple hundred years and he sees an old guy. And then he goes back 2 generations where the old guy is a young kid talking to his grandfather. And then he goes back even further where their wagons are super futuristic and he's married to a dude and they're leaving Paradisen. And then he goes back even further, which I don't know, which could have been another 2 generations
So the
where
fifth
his
vision is Rand
great
seeing
great
the split of
grandpappy,
the Tuathon from the Daishin.
yeah. And presumably they'd been traveling for several generations at that point in time.
Well, I think he only has 8 visions. 9. He has 9 visions.
This is completely unrelated, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Good.
When we were trying to decide my Mahale name, one of the ideas I came up with was the Jen Mahale.
The what?
Jen Mahale. Because
Nice.
Jen in Old Tongue
True.
not only but it doesn't just mean true. It means true in the fact that all others are false.
I love that. I
And
love
so
that.
I was, for a minute, I was like, yeah, it should be the Jen Mahale.
I would have gone with that. I would have gone with that. That would have been great. I don't know. You know what? When it comes to the Aelfin and the Eelfin, this is just one of those. It's a plot hole, right? It's a plot hole. We don't know. Or actually, I would say more accurately, it's a plot device, right? Because it gives our main characters the means slash motivation slash resources to move and progress the story along. We don't know why it's there. We don't know. There's the sword and the stone problem, which is whoso pulleth this sword from this stone will be king. Okay, cool. How did the sword get there in the first place? And I think a lot of authors do this, how did it get there kind of explanation. And Robert Jordan didn't. He straight up was just like, there's snaky people and there's foxy people. Okay, but where did they come from? Oh, but he wrote them so well. He wrote these things in so well that people like us can have a podcast about it and talk about it and figure out.
It's one of the things that works so well with the Wheel of Time, and that it's one of the things that really kind of kept me onto it, is that it's not just a fantasy series. It's got that sci-fi element to it. It's got that post-apocalyptic, mirror dimensions, pocket worlds, all of this crazy stuff in there that is very sci-fi. And this is like, even RJ not telling us what it is, he's like, nah, it's just the Finn, the realm of the Finn, deal with it. It's like, that's so sci-fi. Like, of course we can't explain it. How could we possibly explain it? It's a different dimension. Like,
especially in a world where magic exists. We can't explain it even with magic. What? Which is another mistake I think a lot of raiders make, where you've got magic in this world, so it's really easy to say why. Because magic. Okay, but why?
Magic, sci-fi, deal with it.
Magic, sci-fi, to deal with it.
Okay.
Deal with it.
So the time frame, the year-ish, approximately 120 years after the bore is drilled.
Okay.
Or sorry, roughly 120 years after the strike on Shao Ghul.
Okay.
Is when is the time frame that Rand's 5th vision takes place in.
Right.
So we're 120 years into the breaking of the world, meaning this is happening 3,000 plus years ago when we get the first glimpse of the redstone doorway.
Right.
So there's only 120 years roughly in between. Well, there's more than that because prior to the strike at Shao, so go like negative 110 years, was the bore into the Dark Ones.
Right.
And then the War of Shadow lasts for like 110-ish years before you get to the strike at Shao. So at any time from that far back, all the way until the 120 years after ish, the strike at Shao is an entire chunk of time that the redstone doorway could have been created or found.
Yeah. Yeah. And he who
So
comes to mind brings up a good point. Those were some of the most chaotic years. Those doors definitely came from either a need in those years or from the Age of Legends through, scientific advancement and research.
I don't think they did.
You know what? We're gonna have to debate this live at one of these events that we go to every year. We're not going to do that this year at JordanCon though, because this year at JordanCon we're going to announce the Wheel of Time Fantasy League Season 3 winners. If you're going to be at JordanCon, make sure you come over and watch us do it live. Silvertooth is currently holding the championship belt for Maury's Dark Hounds, and he will be passing it on to the new winners, Black Tower Podcast, in person and live at JordanCon. So if you want to see that and you want to be a part of that, definitely come on over when we're recording that. If you're not going to be at JordanCon, that's okay too, Reese. You can still watch us live because we will be streaming live from the Crown Plaza Ravinia. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Final thoughts on why the Alefin and Eelfin are the way they are. Let's close this bad boy down. Reese, you go first.
I always savor any conversation with the Finn, as they do with me.
Ayo. Ayo.
I think this is such a fun topic because there's not really an answer, so we can just theorize and come up with our best guess. And it's one of the things we love about the Wheel of Time. And
Tis.
Yeah, I'll take the bargain. I'm definitely bringing fire to blind, though, so sorry.
You'll take the bargain, but break the bargain.
That's true. Yes.
I think that's really the ultimate question we're trying to establish here is, would you go through the door?
I would go through the door. I would bring my night flowers. So, sure.
Andrew, how about you?
I'm gonna stick with my Ogier and Finn kind of interplay thing.
All right.
To me, there's just too much like counterbalancing there. I feel for there to not be something. There's too much like of a similarity between the two in a way for it to not fit. I think the timeline works out with the Ogier not being available in the world until the world's closest to Utopia, and the Finn not being available in the world until its like biggest section of turmoil.
Yeah.
Presumably in the turning of the wheel. I think that it is the piece of Earth that attracts the Ogier to Earth at the end of the first age into the second age. And it is the disaster, turmoil, and misery that attracts the Finn to Earth during and at the end of the breaking. Which is why the doorways couldn't have existed in the Age of Legends. Why?
Do you think the longing is like
Oh shit.
Do you think the longing is kind of like payback for the treaty?
I think it could be like a bit of like a whole like, well, if we have to stay in our realm, then
You're gonna suffer.
you have
if
to
you're
have
not
something that's going to
yours.
keep you, that's going to make you go back to your areas as well.
What if the Ogier are a part of a deal with the Elfin? We want to be safe from channeling. Cool. Here's a steading. You can never leave it permanently.
I mean, they're not genies.
They are. That's literally what they are.
No, they're not.
Your wishes and or requests always have unintended sad consequences.
Yeah, but not in that prolonged way. Well,
What happens
not in a continuing effect kind of way.
what if an Ogier goes to St. Hall? What
That's the
happens?
question.
I feel like the doorways are too small by design.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. I love these. These are the best episodes. These are the best episodes. The episodes that we don't want to stop talking about them because they're so much fun to chew on. I love it. It makes me happy. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody for slurping on this week's dose of taint. And we hope that wherever you are, you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. From all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, I have been Jay Osh.
I figured it out. Final thought as I say goodbye. Mirren and her compatriot.
Wow.
If they did come from the Age of Legends, it's Mirren and her compatriot's fault because as they were probing into this infinite energy source outside of the pattern, they probed into an alternate world. It's still not what happened, but if it did, that's how it happened. I've been Andrew. You're always correct, never wrong. By Jean Clearly.
Clearly.
And I've been Reese. You're protected from any falsehoods, Mahale, or Aethon Mahale.
Love it. And this has been, it's been Black Tower. Like, what are you guys still doing here? We're done. Show's over. Go home. Get out of here.
Go make a bargain.
No more. God. Everybody.
You've been waiting for this moment, for this feeling to grow. In the shadows, always watching, always running the show.